This is I Should Be Writing, Season 20, Episode 27.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast and live stream for wannabe fiction writers. I'm your host, Mur Lafferty. I am just celebrated my the 19th birthday of this podcast, and I'll be celebrating my 20th anniversary podcasting come December. So I've been talking a lot, and I have several books out, and I try to encourage you, when you seek out advice online, try to find it from credible sources. Today we're going to be talking about My Mother Cursed My Name from Anamely Salgado Reyes, and magical realism and stuff. And I'm excited about that. But to start off with, to tell you guys what I've been up to, I think I have recorded yes, I recorded last week, so I talked about going to Bubonicon, which was great. And now it's just another edit pass on the book. And I've got that weird feeling of the edit pass is going okay. I know the middle needs the largest amount of work, so I'm a little worried about that, but I'm kind of feeling like I'm actually sticking to the timeline I said I could do, and that's weird. So I'm waiting for something terrible to happen because I can't be confident in my own work. Oh boy. Anamely, what are you working on?
Right now I'm in a waiting period.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote my second novel, and according to my agent in the contract, there's a thing where you have to wait 2 months between the publishing of one novel, and then so they can accept the second one or the other one, like to give them some time.
Right.
I'm not sure. I should read things more closely.
Well, that's what your agent's for.
I sent it to my agent.
Mm-hmm.
She'll pass it along to my editor. 4 weeks.
Do you have I am... Oh, thank you, Foreigner. Audio's a little off. My bad.
Mine?
I have not seen your contract, so this is just a guess, but sometimes you're giving the publisher 2 months to decide whether they want it or not, because that publisher gets right of first refusal. So your next you write has to go to that publisher, and then they get 2 months to say whether they like it or don't, and then you can go out to other publishers. That's a guess. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I would think is what you're waiting on, because that's pretty standard. But I apologize, guys, because like 2 years ago I started doing the good news thing, and then last year we kind of fell off, and I want to bring it back because I really like celebrating good news that people have. I just decided that right now, so I'm trying to think of what good news I have. I'm gonna say my good news is the fact that I guess I'm not gonna say anything till something's signed, but I did sell some foreign rights recently. And foreign rights are great because they're free money, and that's very exciting. It's usually not a lot, and this is not, but it's free money, so you really can't complain. That's my good news. If you guys have good news, you can tell me in the chat, and if you have good news and you're listening to this later, feel free to email me, and I'll mention it on the next live stream podcast thing. Any good news to share, Anamely?
Writing wise?
Anyway, we talk about anything really, whatever you're comfortable sharing or not. It's cool.
Well, writing was just going back to what I said before. I finished a second novel, so
Yes,
just that.
that is huge. That is awesome.
You're talking about the logistics of, now I have to wait 2 periods on this contract thing. Like, I finished it. That's a big enough deal for me.
It really is. It
Something
really is.
else.
I haven't used the yay button in a while. Let's see if it works. Okay, well, we got a note in the chat that we have pushed the yay button. I really need to go through and fix all my stream bells and whistles. But for
I don't
now,
know.
let's
Your name,
just.
no.
Under Pope has good news. My short story is available at Electric Spec now. That's fantastic, Under Pope. Please send me the link. Just send via Discord or email, and I will put it in the show notes. That's very exciting. I'm very happy for you. That's great. Yeah. So we'll get started. You came out with My Mother Cursed My Name. It was your first book. It's available now. Why don't you tell us about it?
I'm so terrible with synopsis summaries, but do you want a short one or a long one?
However you're comfortable talking about it.
I'll say the short one. So, I would say in a Mexican American girl's journey to help her grandmother cross over, she learns about the fallout between her grandmother and her mother and addresses her own problems with her mother and reflects on past generations and how that led to her current relationship with her family.
Mm-hmm. And seeing as how her grandmother's needed to cross over, that's the grandmother's dead, which puts this into fantasy / magical realism territory. So I've never really understood magical realism because I don't understand how it's different than fantasy. What is your take on it?
I would say the difference is magical realism is usually set in the real world. Mm-hmm. There's not this other world that you're creating with its own rules and everything that comes with fantasy. Mm-hmm. You have to literally create a new world. It's just that there are fantastical things happening in the real world and the characters accept it as it simply is.
Okay.
It's not necessarily magic. It's just life. And so I wouldn't call this fantasy because I don't do all of that world building that comes with fantasy. Mm-hmm. And this is something else, but I read one of the reviews, which I know you shouldn't read reviews, but I was just very curious. It's my first novel.
You're so brave.
Oh, I wish there would have been more world building. And I thought, okay, well, that's more fantasy, which is, this isn't fantasy.
Yeah, a lot of times reviewers will say
the difference.
Yeah, a lot of times reviewers will say, "Oh, I wish it had been this," and we're like, "But it wasn't." It's not the story.
It's just that's kind of that comment shows what the difference is. Mm-hmm. There's not really all this other world. It is set in the real world.
So you grew up on both sides of the Mexican and Texas border. What made you want to go into a grand familial story here, the whole multiple generations uncovering secrets story?
That's my life. I'm very focused. I write about what I know, and what I know is family. I think those are the most important relationships to me. So that's kind of where that stemmed from. I started writing during the pandemic when I moved back home, and I was just back home with my mom, and so we were talking a lot, and what we talk a lot about is the past, because we're doing a lot of reflecting, as most people were during the pandemic, and we started just talking about her life, and I started reflecting about how her relationship with her grandmother and her mother then kind of impacts my relationship with her, my relationship with my grandma. Yeah, and that's the kind of stories I like to read about, and so it's what I like to write.
Very cool. So tell us about your publishing journey. This is your first book and your first podcast book tour, I guess.
Yes.
So tell us how it went.
It's been going well because it got published.
Yes, congratulations.
I kind of didn't, not kind of, I didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I literally had to Google, how does one publish a book? And then read up on that and then figure out, okay, you need an agent. And then all these steps happen after that. And you need to send out query letters. I didn't know anything, especially because I didn't want to be a writer growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I just started writing for fun,
Mm-hmm.
just as a distraction. And then once I was getting closer to finishing the story, then I started thinking, okay, like now it feels like a finished book.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody else reads it? But in order for that to happen, I would need to get it published. And then it started feeling like, okay, now this feels like a dream to write,
Mm-hmm.
to get my writing published. And yeah, then I did the Googling, I did the sending out query letters, getting the agent, finding an editor, and now doing this, as you said, podcast tour.
So wow,
And
you just followed all the rules and ticked all the boxes. Wow. That's amazing. So how do you like being a writer?
I love it. I'm glad that I tried getting into it. I don't know if I'm the best dealing with rejection. So I would have been really sad if, yeah, and that's not good for writing. So like now that I'm going into trying to get a second novel, like now I'm thinking, okay, this is a whole new process.
Yeah.
Now the rejection could come.
Yeah. Yeah, rejections they're not fun, but they're necessary because you're gonna get it at some point. Even if you had like a lot of really high points to start out with, there's gonna be rejection down the road. And I think it's better if you get them early because then you'll know how to deal with them. And it's the whole like gifted child who does really, really well in school and then goes to college where all the other gifted children who did really, really well in school and suddenly they're average and don't know how to handle anything. That's
me.
Yeah, that was me too. So,
that's definitely me. But yeah, and not necessarily just rejection, but for example, like when I sent the manuscript to my agent, she had a lot of feedback. So initially, like my first reaction, it felt like rejection, but then I had to think it's not rejection, it's literally feedback, and let's work on this. So I know that even if rejection comes in the future and it will like hit me like that, like those emotions will hit at first, I'm grown enough to understand like, okay, it's not just flat out, nothing's going to happen after this.
right.
I have to make some changes.
Yeah, what we try to focus on is also letting yourself feel the emotions. So you're going to be, okay, I got a rejection and that makes me sad. I'm going to be sad tonight. I'm going to get the chocolate or the red wine or the candy or the movie that I love to watch a million times and just sit on the couch and be sad. And then tomorrow I got to go back to work. But when you like, it may be a little bit easier when you allow yourself to process that rejection. So the book came out in July. How are you feeling about it being out there? You've sought after at least one review. That terrifies me. What else have you been doing?
As I said, just waiting. I guess right after it came out, I had like a book signing event.
Oh, neat.
That was basically it. People keep asking me, are you going on a book tour? And I said, no, that seems more like for famous authors.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking, well, as I'm waiting for this other thing, I could also keep writing.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't started. I should be writing.
Yes. Yes. How is your what can you tell us about your second book? You don't have to tell us like huge details, but is it same genre or what?
Yeah, same genre. It's still focused on family relationships. Still has magical realism.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's very different, just in terms of plot.
From My Mother Cursed My Name?
Yes.
Okay.
But it still has those same elements. Still feels like, yeah, I think if I sent out something to my agent or my editor that's completely different, they're like, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. That is a thing. Mm-hmm. But if you wanted to write like hardcore space horror, you could just get a pen name. It's possible to do that. I don't know if that's something you're really eager to write, but we've all got our secret wishes of if you could write anything, what would it be? So, being a somewhat new writer yourself, what kind of advice would you give newbies of what you wish you'd known?
One thing I didn't do was get people to read what I wrote before sending it out to my agent.
Oh,
I mean, she said yes to me, so it turned out fine. But we did have a lot of work to do before we looked for an editor. So I think maybe if I had gotten some feedback before,
yeah.
it would have.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
thing
know.
I'm trying to tell myself is that books almost always need editing, and sometimes they need editing more than once, and that's okay because I'm doing a second big edit on my novel, and I'm just not only trying to make the book better, but also fighting the little voice in the back of my head going, "Oh, this book must be garbage then. This is terrible." All you're doing is you're sticking all the bad stuff together with like gum and wire, and you're gonna put it out there, and everyone's gonna know how terrible it is. And that little voice is a real jerk, you know.
But there's also the voice of, "Oh, this is so good," and then when you get that feedback, you're like, "Oh, was I blind to everything?"
Yes. How
But
can you
again,
not recognize? Sorry.
that I was going to say, but you can still look at it from the positive like angle, which is this isn't a no, it's just work on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you gonna?
Oh, just ADHD. It just leaves. Sorry, it just goes away.
Understand.
So what are you reading now, or what are you watching or playing, or what kind of media are you into right now?
I am reading. I'm rereading what I have in my bookshelves rather than buying new books.
Wow.
I've been reorganizing my bookshelves. And yeah, just going back to books that I've loved like before.
Can you
Things
share
that
some?
I think like are classic, but they're not necessarily like the classics. It's just they're classic to me.
Right. Can you tell us any of their names?
Yeah, so like for example, one is So Far from God by Ana Castillo. The Joy Luck Club, started reading it as well. Those are the two that I've been reading, and then I'm going through like literally my bookshelf like next. And that kind of shows that I like family stories.
Have you read 100 Years of Solitude?
I have my copy, and I've tried getting through it so many times.
I've
And
never
it's so much.
I've never been able to either. My mother doesn't read science fiction and fantasy, but she loves Marquez, loves his work, and she loved 100 Years of Solitude. And I'm like, I'm trying, I'm trying.
I have a little collection of like really old copies of Garcia Marquez books that one of my aunts gave to me. And some of them are really short, so I could get through them super fast. But that one book, that's just like, that's too much.
Yeah.
And there's some that we even had to like read for school, but I'm glad that was not one of the ones.
Oh, yeah. We do have a question from chat. Do you ever suffer from professional jealousy, like you have friends who are more prolific or talented or famous than you, and how do you cope with that?
Asking me? I don't know people. I've barely met people, other writers, now that I'm officially like out into the writing world. Now I'm starting to meet people, but since I don't know many people, there's like, how can I feel jealousy of people I don't know?
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I just feel, rather than jealous, I feel happy when I see other people's success, because then that feels like, oh, it's possible. Yeah,
That's a very healthy way of looking at it. Yeah, it is possible.
especially because if something good happens in the writing life of someone else, or like if someone succeeds or fails, it will literally not affect whether I succeed or fail.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people look at writing as a zero-sum game, that if one person succeeds, then clearly you're going to fail. I
Yeah.
did that actually when I left college. I thought that I was never going to be better than certain people, and so therefore why bother? And I lost a lot of years. That's not proud of that, but maybe I needed that time to grow up. That's what I tell myself. It's still good years to grow up. I don't know. But yeah, that's a much healthier way of looking at it.
Yeah. But because we're not maybe interacting with the same people. Like we have different agents, we have different editors. We're not like our paths are not crossing.
Yeah.
Other than we are out in like the literary world, but other than that,
Yeah.
it's not like I choose you over this other person or anything like that.
Let's see, in chat, were you interested in magical realism as a result of other books you loved or something else?
Yeah, from other books I've loved, like I had mentioned my little collection of Gabriel Garcia Marquez books. We read in school, like Love in the Times of Cholera and Death of a Chronicle Foretold, like Water for Chocolate, which is mentioned in my own novel. It's something I grew up reading, so I think I just naturally gravitated towards that.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I feel like it just needs, when it's just a normal, I don't know if normal story is what the right way to say it, but if there's not that like little magical aspect, then at least when I'm writing, it starts to feel dull. So like for my own benefit, I like want to add more.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you there.
But I don't know if I could ever actually write fantasy. Like proper fantasy. That's a whole other game, I think.
It's, if you read a lot, you'll start getting, if you read a lot in any genre, you'll probably start getting ideas in that genre. If not the genre that you, if not that you want to write in that genre, you'll probably want to add elements. So it's, that's why it's good to read outside your genre, because you can make your own books better that way.
Very true.
So you've already had your second novel go through your agent and approved and all that? Okay. So you've
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but I'm saying
no, it's fine. I'm just wondering, like, the thing about agents is some are hands-on and some are not, and some just basically take what you give them and then they put it out. But
my agent is very hands-on. I feel like I won the lottery with her accepting me.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I Google things to figure things out.
Yeah.
So she's just full of knowledge, and I feel like she genuinely cares about what I write and my journey as a writer. So yeah. As I said, like, not that I'm just not good with dealing with rejection, but also like if it seems like someone doesn't care, that also makes me feel really sad and like wanting to give up. So just her being very hands-on.
That's good.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to find her?
I don't know how long it took her to respond.
Well, I mean, did you get a lot of rejections from agents, or did you research her and know that she was the one for you, or how did that work?
I did feel like she was the one for me when I was researching. I mean, I made my little spreadsheet of agents who were looking for similar stuff to what I was doing. And then I didn't want to send out a ton at once. So I sent out 3 query letters, or a letter to 3 different agents, and all at the same time. One didn't respond, and then the other one did reject me. She just said, like, this is not for me. And then my agent said, send me the rest of the manuscript. So that's it. That's why I also feel like I got very lucky.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, she was my dream agent. So it all worked out.
That's great. How do you deal, somebody from chat wants to know, how do you deal with the rejection?
Haven't had it yet. So
well, you had the agent tell you no or ghost you, or?
Oh, that one, I guess at that time, I felt like I'm new. I've never done this before. It's going to happen. I say I don't deal with it well in the sense that, like, it does affect me, like my gosh, it's all terrible. But because I had told myself over and over, there's a big possibility everyone on my list will say no.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like prepared. And because I had just started going through my list, I felt okay, I still have this whole other list of agents that I could send out. Maybe if I had sent out more and I kept getting those rejections, then maybe I would have been like, I just give up. This isn't going to happen.
We're
And
going to
that's
take a very short break because there's an ad going on. Go ahead and, if you're watching now, get some water, stretch around. Stretch around? What the hell does that mean? Anyway, we'll be back very shortly. All right, and we're back. The bot did not tell me the ad was over, but I'm assuming enough time has passed. I keep hitting my head on this book behind me. We were talking a little bit about dealing with the things you did. You just basically started Googling things like query letters and agents to find. Did you find it difficult? How did you go? So many questions. How did you go about the query letter crafting once you looked up a couple? How much did you research that?
I tried to find examples, really paid attention to what the agency was asking for me to include in the query letter. Yeah, and I tried to just basically make them look as close to what I saw from other people's query letters. And my agent has a podcast where they read through query letters and kind of give feedback on that. So listening to her sometimes, I think, oh, maybe I didn't write the best letter and I just got lucky that she thought, okay, that's an interesting idea. But like there's all these little details that.
So can I ask who your agent is so we can look up her podcast?
Yeah, the podcast is called The Shit No One Tells You About Writing.
Oh, well, that works.
Lira. And yeah, I still listen to it even though I'm not sending out query letters right now. I love listening to other people's letters because then I also hear about their books.
Excellent. Well, is there anything else you would like to talk about that I haven't asked you? Either your book or your writing career or questions you might have?
Well, one thing I guess we didn't talk about is the actual process of writing. And I find really interesting listening to other people's process of like making an outline or not making an outline. I think it's something I'm still figuring out because I just wrote one thing. Well, technically two things now, but who knows if the second thing is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what's your process since you have a lot more experience?
My process is, God, I don't even know anymore. I get an idea and I usually let it just marinate in the back of my head for a while. And then I give it a try and send it out to my agent and get his take on it. And if he likes it, I keep going. And if he doesn't like it, I'll try something else.
I feel like that's one of the things I didn't even know about, like maybe just sending out the idea to the agent. I thought like I have to have this thing finished before she even looks at it. That you were mentioning before.
Yeah. I'm surprised she wanted you to write the whole second book because they know you can start and finish a book. So.
Well, she didn't tell me anything. It was me.
Oh, you just dropped it on her doorstep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she knew like I wanted to continue this, but I didn't even ask. Like, how much should I send you?
Yeah.
But also for my own peace of mind, I think it works better for me to try to have a finished product because it can't change so much.
Yeah. No,
Like, I really like these first pages, and then by the time I finish writing, I think I hate those first pages. Let me just delete them and start all over.
Yeah. True. Well, if you guys in chat have any more questions, let me know. And I think we're well done with the ad break. But I've lost my notes. What have I done? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I think we've gone through my questions. It's been wonderful having you on the show. Congratulations on your book. I hope it continues to excite all the magical realism fans and literary fans and fans of fantasy who might want to step outside their comfort zone a little bit. But the book is My Mother Cursed My Name, and the author is Anamely Salgado Reyes. And where can we find you online?
I just have an Instagram. It's my only thing.
Okay.
And it's Anamely Salgado. That's it. Like, that's my handle.
Okay.
That's it. That's a new thing I'm navigating to as a writer. Like, now I have to be more present on social media, and I wasn't before this. And scary out there.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I had my following on Twitter, and Twitter imploded, and I did not bring my following after me. So I'm just kind of struggling myself right now. But if you would like to find me online, you can find me at Merverse.com, or pretty much Mighty Mer in most of the spaces I'm in, except for Instagram, where I'm Mighty Mer 2, because the Mighty Mer tag is tied to my Hotmail account that I can't get into anymore. So,
technology.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you, everybody in chat. And you guys should be writing. Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing, the longest running writing podcast in existence. This episode was made possible by the Fabulous, who support the podcast via Patreon or Substack. Join the Fabulous at patreon.com/mightymer or mightymer.substack.com. Theme music provided by John Anelio, art provided by Numbers Ninja, and podcast hosting provided by Libsyn. This episode is released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 license. You can find all of my books and podcasts at merverse.com.